This is the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast. And Sam, you're looking rather dapper today, my friend.
You are looking more than dapper, Jolie. Look at you, got your bow tie on. We decided to keep on our lovely little polos as well, didn't we?
Yeah, got to stay Flyers on brand. But we are wearing dinner jackets and bow ties for the podcast listener. If you're watching the video version of YouTube, you can see this in all your glory. Because this is our end of season Bristol Flyers Supporters Club awards episode. Sam.
Love that, Joel. Love that.
And before we introduce our guests, we have to give a mention to what happened at the weekend, because the season is officially over for Bristol Flyers after trailing by as many as 26 in that two-legged game against Leicester Riders. Just a 3-point loss on aggregate.
I don't want to talk about it, Joel. I do want to talk about it, but I'm still not over it. I'm still not over it, Joe. I'm sad. I was sad on the drive home. But do you know what? Our boys did us proud, didn't they?
Yeah, they certainly did. I don't think they could have done, an even better. We had a lead with 5 minutes to go, and it was right there. Had them exactly where we wanted them as well.
It was a few things that, I say this every time, but there was that moment where I think TB got a hand to it, and it went out of bounds. If he just got a little bit more of a hand to it, not his fault, but if he did, it would have been potential for a fast break layup or dunk or whatever. Got the out of bounds. They passed to Loving a long range three, and I feel like that was a dagger moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, he hit some clutch shots, and then you sort of combine that with the our free throw percentage on the night as well, and you kind of feel it could have just tipped our way, but it was a hell of an effort from our team, and they should be really proud of themselves for not only what they did in that second leg against Leicester, but what they did for the whole season. A record-breaking season for the club is now in the books. It will go down in history books, Sam, as our most successful season ever.
And do you know what? It's been so enjoyable. Every home game I've been so excited to go to. I've only done a couple of away games, but that every time we've got a match, I'm at work, before on the Fridays or whatever, excited for it. And I don't know, Joel, I feel like next year's going to be hard to top this year, but it will.
Oh, we said that last year. We finished fourth, and all of a sudden now we finished third, and we go and meet the semi-finals again, being 5 minutes from the final. So fingers crossed they can go one further next season and punch their ticket in a first ever playoff final. We'll talk about that a bit later on with our guests as well, the season as a whole. But just before we introduce our guest, Sam, have to give a mention, because we are now just a few days away from our season finale of the Bristol Flyers podcast in front of a live audience at the Village Hotel.
We did not think we were going to be able to pull this one off. That's why we've not been talking about it, because we were like, is this even going to be possible? But the guys at Brandvox, producer Dan over there, been such a legend, got it all ready, and we're going to be able to put on a lovely live podcast for listeners and viewers, Joel.
Yeah, we are holding an end-of-season event down at the Village Hotel Monday, May 15th. Tickets are free for that event, and they were snapped up super, super quick, Sam. I couldn't believe how quickly they've gone. People just want to come watch our rubbish little podcast.
Don't call it little. You can call it rubbish, but not little.
But tickets sold out in record time. However, I can reveal, Sam, that we have just released a further batch of tickets. It's the final release of tickets. So our capacity now has gone up to 240 for the event on Monday, our live episode of the podcast.
No way. So how many more tickets have been released?
That's a good question. I'm not great at my maths. I think it's 50 or 60 extra tickets just been released. Put me on the spot there, Sam.
Have they gone live?
They will go live this evening. By the time this podcast comes out, they'll be up right now on the Bristol Flyers website. So do head to the Bristol Flyers website. If you haven't got a ticket for the event, or you missed out when they were first released, go head there and snap up your ticket. Join Sam and I to celebrate the end of our most successful ever season down at the Village Hotel. All the players will be there. All the staff will be there. It'll be Q&A with the fans. It should be a great evening of entertainment.
And I am hoping it's a little less sweaty than this room right now, Joe.
It is sweaty. With these jackets on, it does get a bit sweaty, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just one final thing before we introduce our guests. We actually did our visit down at the Village Hotel, our little site visit with podcast producer Dan over there. And I can tell you, we are pulling out the stops for the live audience episode. It's going to be something we've never done before. It'll be bigger than what we did last season. If it all goes to plan, it should be super exciting.
Buzzing.
So yeah. Still time to grab your tickets. Head to the Flyers website to snap them up now. Right, time for us to introduce this week's guest. And you'll notice that Sam and I are both dressed to the tens because this is our end of season Bristol Flyers Supporters Club Awards episode. And who better to join us in studio to reveal the winners of the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club end of season awards than our founding members of the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club is Sam Comley and Amy Atkinson. Welcome to the podcast.
No, thank you for having us.
Yes, give it a round of applause, producer Dan. I love it.
Love that.
How's it going? Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on.
It's a bit different to the last time we had you on, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot different.
We got you in the jackets. We got you here in the studio as well. It's your first time up here. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's actually really impressive. A lot bigger set than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And obviously you guys are dressed up to the tens as well to join us. It's like awards night here on the Bristol Flyers.
It's just
podcast.
my usual daily wear.
And we have to talk about the tie you've got on as well because for the podcast, I don't know if you can just shove to the there we go for the YouTube viewer there. Bristol Flyers logos on the bow tie, a white bow tie, amazing. Tell us the story behind it, Sam.
So my sister got it made 4 years ago for my niece when she was born. So she had a series of bows made for all three Bristol sports, so Bristol City, Bristol Rugby and Flyers. So I thought about coming on here, and luckily my niece Lily, she let me borrow it and suggested I borrow it to wear actually instead of a proper bow tie. So
amazing.
It's worked out quite well.
It fits. It's right on brand, and it's amazing. And it's. What do you reckon on that, Sam?
I thought I had a bit of an edgy one. Mine's actually leather, Joel, and I was there like, oh, I'm gonna have the coolest bow tie. And then I got upstaged massively. not happy about that actually. So
yeah, it's great to see. Before we get to the, I think there's one final thing we have to do before we can start our award ceremony, Sam.
What's that, Joel?
And you remember back at the Christmas episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast, we got the fresh waters out to celebrate because it was a Christmas celebration. So I think it'd be rude not to get the fresh waters out once again. And there they are, the return of the fresh waters.
So fresh, so water.
Definitely not alcoholic. Definitely fresh water. Sam and Amy have their own fresh waters. There you are.
Thank you.
As we get the fresh waters out. And we'll have to get the fresh waters out on next week's podcast as well, Sam, because our end of season celebration, surely.
Are we allowed a couple of fresh waters next week, Joel?
It'd be rude not to, I think, in front of a live audience. We'll see how that one goes down. Cheers, everyone. Here's to a very successful Bristol Flyers season, the most successsul Flyers season that the club has ever had. Cheers. I'll cheers with you from afar, Amy, because I don't think I can just reach over our podcast kit. I was going to say Merry Christmas then, but but happy award ceremony.
As we were just clinking our glasses there, I saw producer Dan looking like, please do not spill over our lovely gear.
Yeah, he was looking right at us there, wasn't he? He was like, yeah, do not spill it on the podcast. Before we get to the awards, I'm keen to get, we should probably speak about the season as a whole. What did you guys make of the whole campaign? Because coming into the season, the whole narrative was the team were being written off by all the pundits, predicted to finish last by a certain Drew Lasker, but they've just shot every expectation out the window, haven't they?
Well, I think after the end of last season, we didn't retain many players. I think even we started to fear that actually it might be a struggle this year to get the same type of group of players back this year. But after the pre-season games, there was a lot of optimism, and a lot of people thought we could actually go all the way. And that's when, obviously, the pundits like Drew wrote us off. And I think that just spurred everybody on a lot more, especially the fans, trying to get behind the team. But it's been such a amazing season, so many ups and downs.
Yeah.
Well, more ups and downs, obviously.
Yeah.
But,
amazing. And Amy, what did you think of the season? Because you've had quite a conversation with Drew Lasker on social throughout the season. It's been an ongoing topic, hasn't it?
It has. And I've actually managed to now catch up with Kieran and Mike as well in person this season. So I've spoken to all of them about their pre-season predictions and put them right.
And what was some of the feedback from the three of them? Are they did they apologise for their picks?
There were many apologies, yes, particularly from Drew. I think they all sort of said that they'd based it on the age of the players in general and the kind of, not inexperience, but how, we'd kind of lost that core from last season and kind of started with a lot of new players this season. So that was what they based their predictions on.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable, isn't it? I mean, what is it, like 3 players from last season's squad that finished 4th, retained. Corey, Malcolm, and Mike, essentially, wasn't it? And obviously bringing Leslie back, a guy who's got experience with the programme. But the programme's changed so much since then. His role has changed in the team. And then all of a sudden to bring in all these new players who are signing their first pro contracts outside of, playing in college. And it's been great to see, hasn't it? I mean, Sam, what are your... Sam Hardy... I was going to say Sam, because I've got 2 Sams here. Sam Hardy, what did you make of it as a whole, Sam?
I think... the whole season, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't like, because of the fact that we get a change of rotation, I don't like to go into a season thinking I know anything, because players have surprised us so much over the years. Like, there's been players who you're like, well, let's take Jelani, for example. He potentially was coming in as like a backup point guard. We didn't know anything about him, and he's had games where he has blown teams out of the water by, like, he got, what did he get, 31 points or 29 points? I can't remember what his top score.
Yeah, the 30 piece.
30, exactly. Like, and you would never expect, and it wasn't just like a one-off, that was random. Like, he's done it so many times. The London Lions, getting to overtime was all him, basically doing some beautiful stuff. Like, so I actually don't like to go in going, we're definitely going to win. But then I also know, like, London Lions are here, Leicester have been what they are. Like, I kind of was like, we're probably going to be a mid sort of table team, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So because coach is amazing, and I don't see us coming like bottom with coach doing the stuff he does. But yeah, very exciting. Really
and you had to research into a few of the players that we were bringing in at the time. I mean, you got a former McDonald's All-American and VJ King, and those that aren't familiar with that whole system, that's like the top high school players in the country. He's playing against like Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo, players like that. So to bring in a player of that caliber, we never have brought in a player of that standard or that kind of background before. And then obviously to add in players who've got something to prove. Jelani, you speak about Jelani, he was probably the signing of the summer across the whole league. No one really knew what to expect with him, and then he just had a chip on his shoulder all year long. He started on the bench. He proved to be that 6th man, that extra boost that the Flyers have needed, and it's been amazing. It's been really good.
I've also just loved watching TV. He's been one of my absolute favourite players all season. And
him having that connection with Mike Miller already through like North Texas as well. So you've got players that know of each other that haven't played on the same team before, but they have that link already, and I think that helps as well. Lots of different characters in the team this year, but they've just managed to gel, and that's what's made it, I think, such a special team, is that there are so many different personalities on the team, but when they're all to get together, they have fun, but they're also super serious as well.
Yeah, I think that was one of the key things at the start of the season, was how quick the players all gelled as a team, and you could see it was one big family. I think I mentioned this before the podcast and stuff, but I suppose when we did the planning committee, that kind of shown like how the togetherness was, because they were quite new to the area anyway.
Yeah.
And everybody turned up to that meeting.
Yeah, and they were enforced, and they were in these tiny little pews, weren't they? These like 6'8" basketball players all gathering in City Hall, and they were just cramped up, and they sat there for the whole duration of the planning application hearing for the sporting quarter. They didn't stick around for the Longmore one, understandably, because that would have been a very, very long night. But they showed out in force, and it shows that they care about not only the team but the development of the program. And you talk about a lot of players like sticking around for a single season, but these are new guys just coming in from the States that have no history with the club, and they're just bought into what Coach K is telling them about the program, about the history of the program as well.
And why should they care? Not if they didn't turn up, no one would be like, oh, that's annoying. Like, maybe they would, but they shouldn't need to care, really. But it just showed that they really, started something, and it was a really powerful family feel, team feel for the whole season, right until the last second,
Yeah, and that chemistry kind of just carried over, didn't it, until the end of the season. And obviously now, being 3 points away from our first ever playoff final, it's great. Just a word on the don't talk about it too much, mate. Just a quick word on the Flyers Supporters Club. We've had you on a couple of times throughout the season. You were on our open training episode. Obviously, we did this same episode last year with the Supporters Club Awards. Tell us what it is. How can people get involved, and how much has it grown over the last year or so?
So it's on Facebook. And it's Bristol Flyers Supporters Club on Facebook. It's grown quite a lot, hasn't it, over the last year, I would say.
Yeah, it's at least doubled. So we have, we're approaching 500 members now.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Why do you think it's doubled? What do you think's happened?
I think there's just being where we are at the game, you get to talk to a lot of fans that are coming for maybe the first time, the second time. And I think because it's been so hard to get tickets. If you get tickets and you're able to come, it feels like a win. But when you're watching the team, play in the way that they've been playing, how could you not love it?
Yeah. And I don't know about you, I've noticed so many more new Flyers fans coming this year than ever before. And you look through the comments on Facebook and it's like after the end of the season, put the thank you Flyers family graphic, and after the final score went out and it was confirmed that our season would be over, just a flooding of comments coming in saying, "Oh, I loved supporting the team this season. You've inspired my kids to take up playing basketball." And that's what it's all about. And so many new fans coming in. It's great to welcome new members to the Flyers family as well, because it's going to need to grow in the next sort of 2-3 years or so as we move over to Ashton Gate. So it's
come on,
great
guys.
to see.
Keep doubling 1,000 by this time next year. Yeah?
Oh, easy.
And welcome to all the new listeners as well. All the new listeners of the Flyers podcast as well. Are you getting a lot of talk about the Flyers podcast in the Supporters Club, you find?
Yes, I was saying to Sam earlier, we've got people coming up to us saying, "Oh, did you hear the podcast this week?" Or people that listen to it while they're jogging, and just real sort of hype around what you guys are doing on the podcast. Not just when the players are on, but a lot of people had a lot to say about when Coach K was on as well. Just saying how nice it was to learn a bit more about him and his journey.
Yeah. So what we try to do is just create stories around different players, and it's been great to have it weekly as well. I think has been amazing, because this time last year we were literally sat in the office at Ashton Gate, weren't we? We were doing podcasts every now and then. We're doing the exact same podcast down at Ashton Gate in the office. It's crazy.
And I think having that regular podcast has actually helped get people engaged and keep that interest going throughout the season as well. And a lot of people have learnt a lot about the sport or about the league in general. Especially with the news sections and stuff. So it's not just about Bristol Flyers. They do pick up things from other clubs, and it just makes them more intrigued and then start going off and looking at other things.
Yeah, great stuff. Now, before we get to the awards section of the podcast, we have to give a massive shout out to all the travelling support this season. Sunday's game up in Leicester, I don't know about you, but that's probably the biggest away travelling I've seen. I know you guys have run like supporters coaches in the past, but this was all organic, wasn't it?
Yeah, this one was all organic. I think we probably might have had more at Surrey when we did the first trip.
Yeah, potentially. But I think this time it was quite difficult to tell because everybody was so spread out, weren't they?
Yeah.
And there were pockets of Flyers fans in the Leicester kind of enclave, which was quite cool, I thought.
Yeah, the Leicester fans certainly knew we were by the end of it.
Yeah.
Made a lot of noise. We had a lot of fans come up to us after the game, especially ones that were sat the other side, saying that, like, congratulating us and said, even though we lost, but congratulate us for like making a noise from start to finish, not stopping.
Yeah, you were there, weren't you, Sam?
I went crazy, Joel. I was sat up there. I started banging my feet on the stands as hard as I could when we were doing the defense calls, and I was shouting in the ref. I didn't think I'd get like that because I'm meant to be a bit more sort of neutral when we're doing the announcing and whatnot, but I was going crazy, Joel. I loved every second of it, and it was amazing to see all the guys you see at home, all away. I don't know. It was something special. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to lie, we were louder than the home fans.
I honestly
For
thought
a lot of the game, we were louder than the home fans.
I felt that. I was the media area is the complete opposite side of the arena, and we could hear that as well. That you guys just making an absolute racket. Especially when we went on that run in the third quarter and we took that lead. Like, you could feel it. You could hear like the fans chanting Flyers more than you could hear fans chanting Riders at times. It was amazing.
Just at the end when it got close to they did get loud, didn't they? The Riders fans, like they did the last bit.
Minute or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did make for a great atmosphere. I think that makes it better when you've got that travelling support and that home support. It makes the atmosphere better because the two fans are trying to chant each other. So that was great to see. And Amy, you made a little sign for a certain Drew Lasker, didn't you? It was obviously since the pre-season picks from Drew came out, there she is on the screen. "We forgive you, Drew," says the sign. And you tweeted him saying, "It's okay, we forgive you." Obviously this is since the pre-season picks, wasn't it? And you've been going back and forth all year long. You had a surprise phone call on the podcast when we had Drew Lasker here in the studio, and you made this sign, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I thought it was very important to, show him that we are a Flyers family and we do forgive him for his number 10 prediction. And I have been tweeting the result of every game straight away, normally after it's finished. And we've just been having a really good kind of friendly banter, and he's called us, I think on his Instagram, we're frenemies now. So
Frenemies,
that's good.
Yeah, I think he picked up on it, didn't it? I think another photo here, producer Dan, of the two of you. This is you meeting for the very first time, isn't it? After all the conversations on Twitter, after the conversations on the phone, you finally met in person.
We did, yes. And I noticed, I did call him out because he's wearing what looks like pink to me, which, you know, was clearly what we were also wearing. So obviously there's some solidarity there now between us.
You're one of the loveliest people I've ever met, Amy. I didn't realise you'd go out of your way to make enemies on purpose. There you go. do you think, like, regardless of rosters and all the rest of it coming in, maybe we'd get the worst looking roster ever, that he'll never put us at 10th ever again, just so that he doesn't have to feel the wrath of Amy?
I did ask him if he wants to make next season's predictions now, but he declined.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no imagine that right now. Yeah, I'll just pick Flyers in first.
No, 6th is fine, but 5th is fine. I'm just not putting him 10th, basically.
Anywhere but 10th. Great stuff. Right, I reckon, guys, it's time for us to get down to these awards, because we've got a lot of awards to get through here on the Bristol Flyers podcast. Sam, are you ready for us to get to these end-of-season awards? Here we go.
I am.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Right, let's get down to business. So, Sam, Amy, we invited you both on the Flyers podcast to announce the winners of your end-of-season awards. And over the last few weeks, the Flyers fans have been voting for their end-of-season awards in the following categories. And Sam's actually got some music for this. So, Sam, here's some awards music for us here on the podcast. So, you've been voting for awards in the following categories: Flyers Supporters Club Player of the Year, Flyers Supporters Club Defensive Player of the Year.
Should I keep doing the drum, or should I stop there?
Yeah, you can stop there. Sixth Man of the Year, Champagne Moment of the Year. We've got a couple of fun awards in here as well, Sam. We've got Best Hair of the Year. Interesting award there.
Very good.
And finally, we have Podcast Moment of the Season.
That is a wonderful selection. I'm very much looking forward to this, Joel.
Yeah, no, it is great. But before we get to our Flyers podcast awards here on the Bristol Flyers podcast, we do have to give a shout out to a number of Flyers players. I'll cut the music. Yeah. We have to give
very emotional there, Joel.
We'll have to give a shout out to a couple of Flyers players who have been named in the official BBL awards. And this week it was announced that Jelani Watson-Gale was named in the BBL All British Team of the Year. VJ King was named in the BBL Team of the Year. Amazing.
The first time ever.
First time ever we've had an official award named for us in both end of season awards. We've never had an end of season award winner before in the BBL
That's
era.
Amazing.
But also, I can also announce an exclusive here, and this will be out. But this news will be out by the time the podcast comes out, so I can talk about this now. But VJ King has been named the Basketball Journalists Association Player of the Year, and these are separate to the league's official awards. So they have the league's official awards and then the Basketball Journalists Association awards. These are voted by British basketball journalists up and down the country. So VJ King's been named the BJA Player of the Year, and also Jelani Watson-Gale has been voted as the BJA's British Player of the Year. So amazing. So Flyers players scooping up awards all over the place.
Not surprised. I'm chuffed for those guys. They've been amazing all year, and you couldn't ask for nicer guys to get those awards, could you?
No, it's amazing. So really great to see them scooping up all the awards. And it's about time, I think, Sam, we actually get to our very first award of the evening, and this award is for the Flyers Supporters Club Defensive Player of the Year award, and this one was voted for by the fans as the player that made the most impact on the defensive end of the court. And this award could have gone to so many different players, couldn't it? Because although the winner made a significant impact in on the defensive end, we were third in the league in defense this season. I think it was conceding average, 79 points a game, 79 points per game we conceded this season. I think we finished third last season as well, so keeping on trend. But one of the best defensive teams in the year, and so many different players that could have actually gone home with this award, right?
Yeah, it was quite well. So obviously we know who the winner is, but we'll announce that in a minute. But beyond that, there was quite close between everybody else. Everybody put a shift in. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've done so well this season, is we've not relied on just one player to make a difference. everybody's put a shift in when needed.
Yeah, 100%. Well, shall we get to the nominees for the award? Are you ready, Sam? The nominees for Defensive Player of the Year are Jelani Watson-Gale, Brandon Mahan, Tevin Oddison, Jaden Edwards, Corey Samuels, Thomas Bell, VJ King, Leslie Smith, Malcolm Delpeche, Mike Miller, and Pasquale Landolfi. Spoiler alert, it's the whole team nominated for this award. The whole team was nominated for this award. It's amazing.
They've literally all been incredible, haven't they?
Yeah, so spoiler alert, the whole team was nominated for this award. This went out to the Supporters Club. Everyone voted on this award, didn't they? Do we want to do top 3? How do you want to play this one out? Have you got top 3 there on your iPad? Sam?
I've got the top 2.
Top 2. So do you want to announce in second place, what percent of the vote was second place?
So
Sam?
second place with 18% of the vote was TB3.
TB3, what a legend.
What a legend, Thomas Bell. It's like, he just does everything, doesn't he? He plays defense, he plays offense, he grabs silly rebounds, he finishes bonkers shots around the rim. So no, that's a very great picker with TB3 in second. But the winner of the Bristol Flyers Club, Bristol Flyers Supporters Club Defensive Player of the Year 2023. Who wants to go away with it? Amy's going to announce. The winner is, drum roll,
Malcolm Delpeche.
Malcolm Delpeche. Malcolm Delpeche. Congratulations, Malcolm. You are voted the winner of this award with 54% of the votes.
54%!
54%! Malcolm finished 11th in the league in rebounds per game, 6.6 boards per game. He also finished 9th in the league in blocked shots per game. Sam, how great has it been having Malcolm back on the team this year?
I've loved it. Did you ask me?
I was asking Simon there, but I can answer it.
You can answer it, Sam.
I don't want to know. No, nothing. I don't have an opinion. Over to you, Freshwater Sam.
Freshwater Sam. I love that because his name's Cider Sam.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, it's huge having him back because he actually won the same award last year as well.
He did. He's defended the crown here.
Defended the crown
with the Defensive Player of the Year. The 2-time Bristol Flyers Supporters Club Defensive Player of the Year award.
Add that to his CV.
You can add that. This goes right at the top of the CV, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon.
Amy, having him back, I know he had that brief spell before. Back in 2018, he took a spell out in Germany, and then when Marcus moved on, Malcolm came back in, and second year now with the Flyers, he really has, could even be his best year yet with us.
I think he's just got better and better, and I think it's still really nice to be able to see him playing against Marcus when we play Sharks as well, although, you know, sort of slightly confusing with the whole Spider-Man kind of things that you guys have done.
Yeah, we like the Spider-Man meme here.
Just call him Malcus. And never just
we do.
Malcus. I don't know how many times commentators in the BBL have actually... did you watch the shit at the Manchester game, the BBL quarter-final?
No, I didn't think so.
The away leg, they called him Marcus Delpeche.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us.
He came into the home leg on Friday actually, looking very smart, didn't he? Nice hair and all the rest of it.
Who, Marcus?
Marcus.
Yeah,
Marcus was there. Yeah. I thought, he was at the home leg, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was,
against Leicester Riders.
Yeah.
He was sat courtside, cheering his brother on. So it was good to have him back at the SGS College Arena. So congratulations to Malcolm. Malcolm is our Defensive Player of the Year, and that's our first award in the Bristol Flyers End of Season Supporters Club Awards. We have actually got a acceptance speech from Malcolm Delpeche. We actually managed to speak to him this morning over at SGS Wise Campus, and he had this to say.
Hey Sam and Amy, I just want to say thank you guys for the nomination for Defensive Player of the Year. But I just want to say that it's been a great season. I've really enjoyed playing with these guys. We have a hell of a team. Everyone contributed, and you know it's not every season that you get lucky to have like the teammates that I've had this year. And so I'm just really looking forward to see where these guys go in their career. And I'm just excited to be, for the season that we've had thus far.
Great to see, isn't it? Malcolm Delpeche, the acceptance speech right there on the podcast.
Love that.
Love to see it. Right, we have to... before we get to our next award, Sam, we have a job to do because we have to announce the winner of our final Web Games Never Stop Learning Challenge.
Speaking of Malcolm Delpesh, it was actually the Malcolm Delpesh Challenge, wasn't it?
It was the Malcolm Delpesh Challenge. We asked supporters to send in videos via the Bristol Sport Foundation app of them taking on Malcolm Delpesh's low post workout. We had some great entries come in, and the winner will receive a pair of tickets to the BBL playoff final on Sunday at London's O2 Arena, and a free space on a Bristol Flyers summer holiday camp this year as well, which go like hot cakes, Sam. I don't know if you told you that before, but they go like hot cakes.
Yeah, we did talk about it because I talked about the fact that I've never had a hot cake before.
So yeah, as always, we asked fans to send in their submissions. We had some great submissions come in, Sam, and we have to pick a winner right here on the podcast to receive the pair of playoff final tickets. So without further ado, let's get to the first entry, and this one is from Flyers fan Enzo. Now, you might recognise Enzo, Sam, because he was on our shortlist for Mike Miller's ball handling workout the other week. And he's even edited his own text onto the video as well. So he's coming for my job. He's put his own text on there. He's edited the video himself, taking on Malcolm Delpesh's low post workout. Well, what do you reckon of that one?
That is amazing. Look at him. Killing it.
He's wearing his Bristol Flyers warm-up top as well. Absolute baller out there. Great to see. So that's entry number 1 for our Web Games Never Stop Learning Challenge. Entry number 2 is from Bristol Flyers fan Maddie. And she sent this video in of her taking on the low post workout, starting off with some mic and drill. Then moving on to some drop step finishes. And then finishing.
Nice.
Great, isn't it? And then finishing off with some hook shots. Sam, what do you make of that one?
That is amazing. Look at that.
It's great to see.
I love
If you're watching the audio version of the podcast, it's hard to tell with these Never Stop Learning challenges, but a great entry there from Flyers fan Maddie. And entry number 3, this one's from Flyers fan Paul, and he took on Malcolm Delpesh's challenges in his back garden. Look at him go there. He's even got Crocs on, Sam. Extra points for the Crocs.
In sport mode. Look at them. They got the back bit on.
They do have the back bit on in his back garden, taking on the challenge. He's doing some mic and drill, followed by some drop step finishes, and finishing up with some hook shots. Sam, we have to pick a winner who's going to walk away with a pair of playoff final tickets and a free Flyers summer holiday camp day. What do you reckon?
Were you talking to me on that one, yeah?
That was you, yeah.
Good, thank you, just for the clarity. I love all of them, particularly loving the Crocs there, Joel. Very, very cool to be able to do that. I think I'm going to have to give it, though, to Maddie. I thought Maddie was tearing it up, and she definitely deserves the prize on that one, Jolly.
Lovely stuff. Well, congratulations to you, Maddie, because you are heading to Sunday's BBL playoff final between Leicester Riders and London Lions, Sunday, May 14th. Hope you have a great time. And also, you've got some a free space on a Bristol Flyers summer holiday camp day.
Which go like hotcakes, apparently.
They do go like hotcakes, I can confirm. So that's it. That's it for our Bristol Flyers Web Games Never Stop Learning Challenges this season. We've given out some great prizes, Sam, and we've seen some great entries from the kids, haven't we?
I love it. It's a nice, it's nice to see the community engaging in that way. The guys doing the moves, and and then other guys are taking it on. But not only are they doing the video and sending it through, I actually think they're all learning a lot by doing it as well.
I think so as well. I think so. Well, if not learning anything about video editing, like entry number 1 there, they've certainly got some work in as well, doing the drills just like the pros as well. So that has been great to see. Right, time for us to get to our next award.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Right, here we go. Next award coming up for you, and this one's a bit of a fun one, Sam, because this is the award for best hair of the season.
Love that.
Sam, I'm surprised you weren't nominated for this one, by the way.
I know, rude, right?
Bit of unfair competition there. He would have won it hands down when it would have been
What a flirt. Hear that? Such a flirt.
I love it. Obviously, Sam, Amy, we asked you to come up with some fun awards to hand out here on the podcast, and you guys came up with best hair. Talk us through it. Whose idea was that one?
Well, it was sort of a compromise.
Yes, the female fans came up with a separate category, which we thought we should probably change it so it's a little bit more appropriate. Yes.
Yeah.
So we went with best hair.
So, so talk us through what makes a great head of hair. What are we judging this on? What's the criteria?
I think looking at the nominees, they've all got very different hair, so I'm not completely sure why people have chosen who they've chosen. But I'm sure that all 3 nominees have got lovely hair.
Great stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get down to announcing the nominees. And I don't actually have this on my notes. So, Sam, I want you to take over the reins here. Who were the nominees for Best Hair?
Well, it's the entire squad.
Oh, the entire squad again! Oh, great! The entire squad. Cut the music. Cut the music.
Squad.
The entire squad was nominated for Best Hair.
Are all of them nominated for all of them?
No.
Okay,
No,
fine. Good to know.
Okay, we'll save that for later on. Best Hair. Brilliant. Okay, so the entire squad was nominated for Best Hair, even the players that aren't sporting much hair.
Mike Edkins, was he in that list as well?
Add Mike Atkinson to the list. I think he'd be my winner, to be honest with you. Right, and the winner. Who wants to announce the winner? I'll tee you up, and one of you knock it out of the park. Who wants to do it?
Yeah, I can announce that.
Right.
That's fine.
The winner of the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club Best Hair is
Brandon Mahan.
Brandon
22%.
Brandon Mahan, 22% of the vote. Play the siren. Brandon
Yes,
Mahan.
Brandon. Look at that. He looks amazing, doesn't he?
Absolute great set of hair on him. Congratulations to you, Brandon. You are the winner of the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club Best Hair of the Year. But Sam, I've got a bit of a bone to pick with you on this one.
Joel's rant of the week.
Because, I'll tell you why. Because earlier on in the season, our snapper was able to grab a great photo of Tevin Ollison. And if this doesn't win Best Hair on its own, I don't know what does. Because this photo here, taken of Tevin Ollison, it looks like, I think a player stood behind him. And if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, you can see it looks like Tevin Ollison has a full mullet on the go here. Outstanding.
He says he's going to go get this haircut one day, Joel, just for you, mate.
Yeah, you should. I think it rocks it. I think it suits him really well. If you squint really tightly, you can see this looks just like a mullet. That's amazing. If you're listening to the podcast, see if you can give it a Google. Maybe we'll clip this up for the video version of the podcast so you can see what we're talking about. But unbelievable hair. I don't know why that doesn't win Best Hair in itself.
Yeah, guys, I'm blaming. He's got a bone to pick with everyone, apparently, including you, okay?
Yeah, I think it's Brandon Mahan who was actually stood behind Tevin in that picture. But yeah, great mullet from Tevin Ollison. For that reason alone, he's getting my vote for Best Hair of the Year. And Sam, that is my rant of the week. The final rant of the week of the season. And it's about Tevin Ollison's hair. Brilliant.
Love it.
Right, rant of the week over. It's time for us to move on to the next part of the podcast.
This is the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Sam, before we get on to our next award to hand out here on the Bristol Flyers podcast, I have a confession to make.
Oh no, what have you done?
Last week on the Bristol Flyers podcast, we spanned the word of the week, wheel.
Yeah.
The wheel landed on Scat Gang. And
You didn't get it in, did you?
I can tell you I completely forgot to get it in.
Conveniently got to get it in.
No, honestly, I was so tied up with playoffs that it completely slipped my mind and I just didn't say it.
Well, Joel, this is bad news for you, my friend, because what does that mean?
I don't know. What does it mean, mate?
It means, Joel, that you have a forfeit. Now, what I think we're going to do is not do a forfeit this second. I've not got one planned, but we're going to get together a forfeit ready for the live episode going out on Monday next week, and you're gonna have to do that forfeit at the event, my friend.
Oh.
No focaccia shirts this time, mate. It's gonna be worse than that, I'm telling you.
Brilliant.
A mullet wig.
Mullet wig.
Yeah.
Can we wear a Tevin Ollison mullet wig for the whole duration of our live audience episode?
I would not be against it.
All right, well, watch this space because on our live audience episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast next week, I'm going to be doing a forfeit by the sounds of it.
What I would say though is I'm gonna praise you a bit, Joel. You've done amazingly all year at getting them all in. I know you missed two, but
I'll tell you what though, it's because I've only I technically missed one throughout the season because I didn't say focaccia. The one at the weekend, Scat Gang, I just completely forgot about because it was playoffs and I was just in playoff
in that
mode.
zone, yeah, fine. But apart from that, you've done amazing. All the words you've got in, there's been tricky ones. There's been the hippopotamus was especially clever. I thought I enjoyed nearly as clever as Dan Rattledge's one, where it was like dunk
That was
shot 42% or whatever. Yeah, very clever.
that was the favourite for me.
Yeah.
Sam, Amy, did you actually nominate any words for the wheel earlier in the season? Because at the start of the season, we took all the words from fans that tweeted words in to add to the wheel to populate it for the first podcast of the season. Did you add any?
No, I didn't. No.
No. There was some really good ones that came through. I couldn't remember who actually sent them in, but yeah, watch this space anyway. It means I'm doing a forfeit for our live audience season finale of the Bristol Flyers podcast next week.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Right, time for us to move on to our next award, and this one is for the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club 6th Man of the Year. And this award was voted on by the fans as the player that made the most impact off the bench this season. And Amy, I can think of a whole load of different players that this award could have gone to, because we were surprisingly deep this season compared to previous years, I felt.
Definitely, and I thought as well there was a lot of guys that stepped up off the bench. I'm thinking a lot kind of about Corey, who we've obviously had previous season, but we've been able to see so much more of him this season coming on. He's got that amazing energy, hasn't he, that he's so quick, and it's great to see these guys playing, getting some more game time this season.
Lovely stuff. Well, we've actually got 4 nominees for this award. It's not the whole team.
Finally.
So we can crack on with the nominees. So, the nominees for the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club 6th Man of the Year are Tevin Ollison, Leslie Smith, Jelani Watson-Gale, and Corey Samuels. It's like our very own awards. Got to have the awards music going. Right, it's time for us to announce the winner of the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club 6th Man of the Year. And who wants to do the honours? Amy will do the honours. Are you ready, Amy? I will tee you up. You will knock it out of the park. The winner of the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club 6th Man of the Year award is
Jelani Watson-Gale.
Jelani Watson-Gale! Congratulations to Jelani Watson-Gale. You are the winner of the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club 6th Man of the Year. Jelani Watson-Gale was the winner with 59% of the votes. He made 35 appearances for the Flyers this season, coming off the bench in 31 of his games, averaging 12 points and 3 assists per game on 41% shooting from behind the three-point line.
That man is... I love that job. You got a lot of time for that.
Was that good? Sam, Amy, how great has Jelani been? What a surprise package he's been this season.
Oh, yeah, he's been outstanding. Especially, a game that comes to mind really is the Plymouth game, where he just hit all these threes. I think that was his career. Well, that was his season high score as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. He just outstanding, wasn't he? I mean, like you say, no one knew what he was going to be like coming into the team. Bit of an unknown. Earned himself a call up to the GB national team as well. And, you know, being 6th Man of the Year could have easily been Player of the Year as well, because just an outstanding player. And, yeah, it's been really great to see this season. So
yeah, and he got in the Team of the Week a few times as well. So,
yeah, 100%. No, it's been great to see. So congratulations to Jelani. You are the winner of the Supporters Club 6th Man of the Year. Sam, what was your favourite Jelani Watson-Gale moment of the season?
I think I've got 2 specifically. I'm gonna say one though. I rewatched that video that you made of Jelani against London Lions about 20 times. The one with the music in the background, the slow motion, the little like shimmy, the fake, the layup, and that genuinely one of the most beautiful moments I've seen all year.
Unbelievable. I think watching it back in slow mo, you see just how incredible that move was, because in real time it doesn't look like anything too special, but watching it back in slow mo, it's a double crossover, like Hezzy, like Ward Hibbert like goes up and defends it, and then to finish over Luke Nelson at the end off the glass to force overtime as well in that game that we eventually went on to win as well. Huge.
I would have loved it if he also got the foul and then won it with a free throw. That would have been incredible.
That would have been absolute scenes. That would have been great. So congratulations to Jelani. You are the winner of our 6th Man of the Year award for the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club. And Sam, earlier on, we had a chance to speak to Jelani Watson-Gale on winning the award, and he left us this message.
What's up, everyone? It's Jelani here. Just wanted to say a quick message to the Bristol Flyers Support Club. Thanks for nominating me as the 6th Man of the Year award. It's been an honour to play for Bristol this year. The fans have been great. The support during the games, before the games, after the games is just great. And just want to say thank you.
Shout out Jelani. What a guy, eh?
It's the other side of it is it's like not to name any names or anything, but someone like him as well is one of the nicest guys you've ever come across. He's so kind. He's like, really good with all the fans and all the rest of it. And to be that good of a player as well, Joe, the whole package, mate.
And I think also as a player, it's really hard. It can be hard for players to accept the role coming off the bench. Like you'll see, like the best players on the team, they want to be starting. Like they want to always be those impact players in the starting lineup. But he, like when he came in, he put his head down and really fit into his role and embraced coming off the bench and as a real threat. It makes a team 10 times tougher to beat when the first player coming off the bench is averaging like 12 points a game and can shoot 40% from behind the 3-point line. So huge.
And that's the thing. When you bring someone off the bench, you're expecting, okay, one of their better players is off now. And it didn't work like that with Jelani. Like, we took off a player and put on another really flipping good player who's going to score loads, Joel. So I'm buzzing. Absolutely buzzing about that.
Yeah, great stuff. Right. Well, congratulations to Jelani. It's time for us to get on to our next award, which is for Podcast Moment of the Season.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Right, this one's a bit of a fun award, Sam. We asked the Supporters Club to vote for vote for their favourite podcast moment of the season. And I don't know about you, Sam, but these episodes have just come so thick and fast this season that it all just feels like a bit of a blur to me.
I literally cannot. What is this? What number is this?
Or number podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, you put me on the spot there. We're getting close to 50 now, I think, no?
And you guys were saying, I think Sam said to me at the beginning of the of this episode that it was 13 was the episode that we all did together last year.
Wow.
So we've done a whole load more episodes this year.
I tell you
45 is it?
Producer Dan put
45.
up is 45. So we are 5 episodes away. We have to try and think of something special to do for episode number 50, Sam.
Yeah, maybe a forfeit comes out.
Brilliant.
Who knows?
We have to do something for episode 50. We've worn silly outfits. We've been on the road to Clifton Coffee. We've been to open training. We've had players come on. We've had staff come on. We've had players dial in. We played funny, silly games with twin telepathy. You name it, we've done it here on the podcast. And there's so many cool things we want to bring to the podcast moving forward into next season.
I know what we can do for episode 50.
Go on.
And I'm, going to speak it out to all of you right now. I want everyone listening to understand, Coach K to really understand that we are taking this podcast to an away game in Europe. That's number 50, John.
It might be a bit too early for that, to be honest with you, but
fine.
I do, 100%. We were speaking about this in the office the other day. We want to take the podcast out to random European cities next season as part of our EMBL campaign and do it on the road.
To grow British basketball, not for selfish reasons. You need to understand that, Joe, okay?
Yeah, we'll have some fresh waters out in the middle of Romania in a random bar, in a random pub, recording a podcast in the corner.
By a random spring, you meant? Is that what you meant? Random freshwater spring?
Random freshwater spring, yeah, of course.
I love it.
But we know how serious these European away days are.
Well, that's the thing, because Sam and I were away at a very serious European trip in Perpignan with the Bristol Bears as well, Joel. So it's
purely professional.
Purely professional.
Plenty of fresh water drunk on that one as well, right? Of course.
Maybe.
No idea what you're on about.
That's when I was in the pub with my face paint and the Flyers top on.
Do you remember that, Joel?
Yes.
All those pictures on it,
yes, I remember you. We should put the picture up on the screen, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Love that.
It was great to see. Right, time for us to get to the next award, which is the podcast moment of the season. And as we say, Sam, it's been loads of different I couldn't think of any favourite moments of the season, so we asked Sam and Amy to come up with the Supporters Club favourite moments of the season. And Sam, I've got the nominees here for all the awards on the notes. Are you ready to? Do you want to do the honours?
I'll do the honours. Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'll do my best award voice, Joel, for you. Go for it.
And the nominees for Bristol Flyers 22-23 podcast moment of the year are
Mike Miller, British accent, episode 21. Joel's word of the week forfeit for not saying focaccia, episode 24. Drew Lasker's friendly banter from episode 32. Team bonding with Jelani and Leslie, episode 30. Ranking BBL jerseys with Hoopen and Luton, episode 33. May Peach or Delhan?
That was supposed to say, hang on, well, that was supposed to say May Pesh.
Oh, yeah.
May Pesh or Delhan.
We'll do that bit again. May Pesh or Delhan, episode 28. Tivin Ollison's First Mince Pie, the Christmas Special, episode 26. And of course, last but not least, Players Latte Art Competition, episode 29.
Why do you sound like Santa Claus when you say that?
I milked it a lot there, Joe. I was well into it.
When you said Tim and Ollison's first mince pie.
First mince pie. Ho, 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 ho.
The winner of the Bristol Flyers 22-23 podcast moment of the year is
Mike Miller's British accent.
Mike Miller's British accent. Congratulations to Mike Miller.
That was actually so funny, wasn't it?
It actually was. It was. We actually got it. I'll tell you what. You've got a clip of it, haven't you, Sam? Let's take a listen to the clip back from episode 21.
This is the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Clip this bit out for the podcast. You give us a sentence in your best British accent, and we'll ask people to tell us what they think of it.
How about one of you guys say something and then I'll repeat it.
Okay.
And if it sounds...
Okay, cool. So we'll say, hello, my name's Mike Miller. I'm a point guard for the Bristol Flyers.
Hello, my name's Mike Miller. I'm a point guard for the Bristol Flyers.
I'll rate it. I'll rate it. Let us know your thoughts at Bristol Flyers on socials of Mike Miller's British accent.
Exactly.
This is the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Amazing. How cool was that?
He's amazing. He's a funny man.
Yeah, no, Mike Miller, his British accent is certainly up there with some of the highlights of the season. And congratulations to Mike, because you are the winner of the Bristol Flyers podcast moment of the season.
This is the Bristol Flyers podcast.
Right, we've got 2 awards left to hand out. One of them is for Champagne Moment of the Season. The other one is for Bristol Flyers Supporters Club Player of the Year. However, before we get to those last 2 awards, Sam, it's time for us to get to our final mailbag segment of the year. And normally we'd ask fans to send in questions for our guests. However, with the Supporters Club coming on, we thought we'd flip the script. And Sam and Amy have asked the Supporters Club, Sam, to send questions in for us.
Oh, that's dangerous, Joel. You know that's dangerous.
It is a bit dangerous. So where should we start? Who's got the first question for us?
Shall I take that one?
Yeah, you can take that one.
Okay. So Janet Marks on Facebook, you all know Janet.
Shout out, Janet.
Love Janet.
Who's asking for a friend, which may or may not be every woman at the game. What conditioner do you use on your hair?
Joel?
Sam?
I use a special... Oh, this is really bad because I can't remember what it's called. It's a special curly conditioner, and it is called... Oh, it's like pink. It is pink and it is lovely, but I can't remember what it's called. I'm so sorry. But I'll tell you what, everyone, it's not just about the conditioner. It's about the shoulder shrug when it's drying. The shoulder shrug to keep the curls coming up, elevated and Don't look at me like that, Dan. Dan's like going, no, this is the important thing. So yeah, that's for you, Janet Marks. Just
Other shampoo and conditioners are available. Great stuff. Right, again, now you'd learn something new. The pink one, apparently.
the pink one. I'll find it and I'll add a link to it.
Yeah, you can tweet it out to supporters that follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Great stuff. Let's have another question.
Well, there's another question aimed at Sam.
Oh, God, everyone's asking Sam
So
questions.
this time
Joe.
from Sheila Millman,
Shout out, Sheila.
Love Sheila.
who asks, how many times does it usually take Sam to get his trick shot?
Oh, great question, that is.
Right, so this is varying. Genuinely, one of the times I did it on my 3rd attempt. Not even joking. So on the day we did the 3rd attempt and cracked on. Some of them often take probably like between 20 and 30. That last one I did, which I am like the most proud of because it was like, I was just so happy with that. I've been trying since December. Every single game since December, I've been trying to do that particular one and not managed to get it. And I managed it on the last game of the season, Joel, and I was absolutely buzzing about that.
Yeah, we have to talk about that because essentially you do your link to camera promoting the playoff game. You're walking around the top of the 3-point line, and then after you finish, you lob it off the Habu sign on the wall.
Yeah.
Comes back over the top of the backboard, and when I say it's the cleanest swish I think I've seen you have all season on the trick shots, it's an understatement because it is literally a through the net. You know what I mean? It's a straight splash.
One of my friends, yesterday I was speaking to him, he's like, is there a microphone on the net? Because it was so loud. I was like, no, it's just the way it was. So, yeah, there you go, guys. A lot of times, essentially. Yeah.
Amazing. You bringing that back next season, Sam?
I don't know. Do people want it? I don't know if it's just a bit self-indulgent or if it's actually quite fun. Do it. Okay, we'll
Has it
see.
gone down well in the Flyers Supporters Club? Sam's trick shots.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the trick shots.
Yes.
Lovely
Take that.
stuff.
Love
Well,
that.
looks like they're coming back next season, Sam.
There we go.
Have you got any more questions in the mailbag?
Yes. This isn't. We don't know who sent this one in, but how do you prepare for a live comms game? Do you have any pre-game like superstitions or rituals that you go through?
That's a great old question,
That's
Jolie.
actually a really good question, I thought. For like live commentary, I obviously I do my preparation on players, so I have like I have a little bit of a run order for our pre-game build-up, which is 15 minutes before tip-off, and then when the game's in play, I'll have like a separate sheet. Sometimes I print them out in front of me, and it has player breakdowns of field goal percentage, free throw shooting, some of their key averages throughout the season, and then each player I'll have a list, and it's like 2 or 3 points per season. So if said player is at the free throw line, Malcolm Delpesh, I've got info like joined the Flyers, and a lot of it's in my head still. I joined the Flyers in 2018, played 10 games at the back end of that season while Vigor and Adozie were at the Commonwealth Games, went to Munster, went to the playoff final. Do you know what I mean? That's just all up here, but I do write it down a lot as well. And then in terms of actual like superstition, I don't have any superstitions or anything like that. However, whoever is working the game with me, whether it's producer Dan or producer Fred, I will make sure I always do a thorough run through pre-game, because there's nothing worse than when you don't do a run through, put your headset on, and all of a sudden you can't hear yourself, or the audio level's a bit different, because it throws you off from the start, and then you feel like you have a really bad game throughout.
Yeah.
So I'll always make sure to do a run through as well for the broadcast.
I must tell you, like, Joel obviously preps a lot. He preps a lot for these episodes as well, but this man lives and breathes Bristol Flyers. He has so much information in that brain that he'll be like, oh, do you remember like from 2012 when there was that one particular player who hit this many percentages from the line? I was like, no, Joel, I was barely alive then, mate.
A lot of it is up in my head, I think. Like, I like to write it down, but I never, like, podcast notes. I've got like 3 pages of podcast notes here, but I'm barely reading it. Now I've just lost where I am in the podcast. But I never really read it or go off it. It's just I have it there as a safety blanket. Do you know what I mean? So I have that. There you go. That's the answer to your question.
Got a couple more for us?
Yeah, got a couple more. So the next one, so Matt Hardy from BBL Daily.
Classic.
Matt.
Love Matt.
Wouldn't be a podcast without mentioning Matt Hardy. He gets into every
Gets
podcast
everywhere.
somehow. How's he get in there this week?
So what he would like to know is who would win in a game of 1-on-1 between Joel and Sam.
Not even
there's no question, I'd win.
close. Not even close. I would kill him.
I'd win.
I would. Are you joking? You don't play. You've not played in 10 years, Joel.
I've not played properly, not competitively, since Sam and I were at uni together.
I would. That was about 15 years ago.
It's
now,
not 15 years ago. Come on.
maybe 12 years ago.
I'll take about 10.
No, wait. When you were 23, were you at uni still? No.
Yeah, but I'm not 33. I'm 31.
Oh yeah, fine. Well, whatever it was.
Well, he was looking for something to do on the 50th special. Maybe a
Oh, there we go. We
game.
can do 50.
You can. We'll do it. That's fine. But like, Joel's just going to be sad. Okay.
I'll be down for it, mate. I'll tell you, I'll be
Fine,
down
bring
for
it. Let's do it. We're going to organise that one, guys. And Matt Hardy, you can watch that one on episode 50 of the Bristol
He can
Flyers
commentate.
podcast.
We'll get him as a guest commentator for the 1v1.
Matt Hardy's really funny actually. If you follow him on social media, he had his daughter come to the game. It wasn't the semi-final. It was a quarter-final,
Yeah, the
wasn't it? It was
quarters.
quarter-final.
Yeah.
He was at the semis as well, though.
And I think she must be 4 or something like that. And she apparently was saying, when we were all shouting defense, she was shouting. What was she shouting? There was a word she was shouting.
I think one thing I remember his tweet saying was, "Why is the short man so angry?" And she's talking about Ramon Fletcher.
She also asked, did they all have mummies? And her favourite was Taj Green because of his pigtails.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Shout out Matt Hardy. We'll have to get him on another podcast, because I heard he was on the Below the Rim podcast this
What?
past week as well. He's being an absolute traitor.
Traitor!
So, yeah, shout out Matt Hardy on the Bristol Flyers podcast. Thank you for your support this season.
What do you reckon? One more question?
One more question.
Yeah, go for
Let's
it.
do it.
So actually, this question's from myself.
From myself.
Go on, then.
So how difficult do you find it to remain professional and not get caught up in the moment?
Well, I never stay professional. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Like, for example, when like there's decisions that don't go our way and stuff.
Oh,
Obviously, the fans do get a bit.
Yeah. So it's like it's one thing thinking it, right? Because everyone knows, like, I work for the club, and like Flyers is a team that I've sort of grown up with. So obviously, I have like a natural bias towards the Flyers. But the key for me is to try not to make that obvious in the broadcast. Now I will ham up a couple of extra calls for Flyers and like, oh, Dale Pesh with the dunk. You know what I mean? And go really nuts on some big Flyers plays, and maybe not as nuts for like, you know, opposition play. But you still need to tell the story the right way. If you're too tied down with being a fan, which obviously you want to see Flyers win, but if you're too tied down with being a fan, you're not doing justice to the story that's being told in front of you. If you're broadcasting a game and Taj Green has a massive dunk in transition, you need to ham that up like as much as you possibly can, almost to the level that you would for a Flyers play. Now, the league has a big thing at the moment. With the commentators, they've asked them to try and obviously they've asked commentators to be like volunteers for each club. So every team's put forward their commentators this past season, and it's been tricky at times not to sort of be biased. We do talk about Flyers a lot more than we talk about the opposition team on the broadcast. That's very natural.
They're the home team, so that's natural anyway, isn't it?
And I have done a couple of so I don't know if you saw a few weeks ago, I was actually asked to do a London Lions versus Newcastle Eagles game, and that was a lot different experience because I felt like I had no connection to either of these teams, so I could literally call that exactly down the middle, and it was a bit of a breath of fresh air almost, because it actually makes your job a little bit easier, because it is very much a tougher job to actually try and remain as professional as you can when Flyers are coming back from like a 20-point deficit or something like that. So
I must say, I've been there was one particular game I was away for the weekend, and it was a home game, and I listened to that other one that you did, and Joel is very good, I think, at being fair. We listen and we're like, he's so good at this. So and you do sound fair. I know this is slightly different, but I also have to be somewhat a little bit more chill when I do the announcing, and you should hear me when I turn my mic off. I say some things that I probably shouldn't say on the microphone ever, and I'm like, and I'm like, and that will be a Newcastle ball from the sideline.
Love it.
Yeah, so Joel, you're better than me, mate, big time.
I appreciate that, mate. Thanks so much. Right. Is that we end in the mailbag segment there? That was great. That was a good little segment, that wasn't it?
Love that.
Shout out to everyone for sending their questions in. We really appreciate you pinging them through. We've got 2 more awards to go until the end of our end of season awards episode. Sam, the next award is for Champagne Moment of the Season. And this is an open-ended question, wasn't it, in the Supporters Club, where you essentially asked fans to just write down whatever their favourite moment of the season was.
Yep, so it was, like I said, open-ended question, so a lot of responses, and then from there put it into like what words came up the most to work out what was the most voted moment.
Yeah, and what were the most common ones coming through? Obviously, we've got a winner to announce, but in terms of the...
So, Jelana's name got mentioned quite a few times for his frees, especially against the Plymouth game, and then the buzzer beater, the shot at the end to go into overtime against London. The clean sweep against Patriots.
Always a highlight of the season.
What a highlight.
We don't talk about Patriots in the podcast, but only when we sweep them.
The plan and approval as well. Obviously, that was seen as a big moment for the Flyers as well.
Huge moment. Yeah, huge moment.
For taking it forward on that. So that's the...
So those were the runners-up, so to say. Who wants to do the honours to announce the winner? Are you ready? Amy. So the winner of the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club Champagne Moment of the 22-23 season is...
Beating London Lions twice.
Well, actually, my graphic up there says the overtime win as the second one, but it was like, that was the second win over London. So that was the moment that we beat London Lions twice. So, that was huge because London, obviously, everyone knows the investment they've had come into the team, the talent of players, the crop of players that have come in, like former NBA players. Like, I don't know about you, guys, but I would never thought of seeing Costa Koufos and Sam Decker playing in a 750-seater gym at SGS. It's probably the first time they've actually been there, playing in front of a crowd that small, probably since their high school days or something.
Less, mate, but since they were middle school, probably.
crazy.
I was just waiting for Sam Decker to run and fall over. Do you know when he did with his NBA?
Yeah, we actually got that clip up in the office the other day, didn't we, Sam? For Sam Decker playing for Houston Rockets. If you haven't had a chance to see it, you can probably, if you watch it on YouTube, you can probably search it right now. It's
Shaq didn't fall, isn't it?
It was a Shaq didn't fall segment, and I think Sam Decker has like an open layup in transition, and he trips over his own feet, and the ball like bonks him on the nose. Obviously, we love Sam Decker, but that moment was very funny.
Just signed a new deal as well, hasn't he?
He has, yeah, just signed a 3-year contract with the London Lions,
which is big actually, because someone like him in the league is it settles a few things, and it does like add sort of like, you know, more prestige to the league, doesn't it? Having big players like him. Also, I think having like London being the flagship team, like as much as they are really pushing forward, they're entering Euro Cup and everything. To have a player like Decker, who's had like 7 or 8 years playing in the NBA across a whole different bunch of teams in the NBA, wanting to first of all stay in the BBL, they see he obviously sees the vision for the league and the club as a whole going forward. That can only be a good thing for the league, because other players, new players to the league, will be like, okay, I've got a contract offer here from Bristol Flyers or something in the British Basketball League. I'll do a bit of research into the British Basketball League. They'll look around the teams, see who's playing for teams, and they'll be like, oh, Sam Decker, he's just signed a 3-year contract here. He must enjoy his time in the UK. Time. And that will help other players come into the league as well. So you feel like that's like a good, positive direction the league's going in. So yeah, it's going to be tough playing against Sam Decker for the next 3 years, but great for the team, great for the league in terms of really pushing the league forward. So great stuff. Love that.
So that was our champagne moment of the season. That overtime win, by the way, Tevin Ollison and Jelani Watson-Gale came up massive from the bench. A secure win in that. Tevin Ollison, 26 points.
It's a joke.
6 for 8 from behind the 3-point line. Tevin in that game.
A couple of them miles deep as well.
Yeah, they were huge. Watson-Gale, obviously talked about it earlier, he tied the game to force overtime with that outrageous move. And the atmosphere after that second game in particular, I felt was one of the, if not the loudest I've maybe heard at SGS all season.
Yeah, agreed. I think none of us could talk the following morning, which, to be honest with you, goes after pretty much every game this season, but particularly that one. Yeah. And I think it was so amazing to have, you just felt like everybody was behind the team, you know, up against this London Lions. There's a lot of hype, isn't there? There's a lot of respect in the league, and the fact that we knew that we could beat them, you know, was massive.
One of the only teams to beat them twice this season as well. Us and Sheffield Sharks.
I mean, us and Sheffield Sharks were the only teams to beat them in the league, weren't we?
Yeah, I don't think Leicester Riders ever beat them in the league.
Nope, sweep of Leicester Riders. The only other team that beat them was Caledonia in the Cup.
Or the JVL Trophy. They beat a weakened London. They put out the young players. They made a decision to put all the young players out for that competition to sort of build their experience, and they only just lost to Caledonia by like 2 points at the end in a very, very low scoring game.
50-52. Tough game.
It was a very low scoring game.
Dan, were you on that one or not? I was going to say that would have been a tough watch.
yeah, it would have been. So that means we've got one final award to hand out on our Bristol Flyers Supporters Club end of season awards episode of the podcast, and we've saved the best till last. We've had all the starters. We've had all of the meat and vegetables, and this is the potatoes. It's like the best part of the roast dinner, isn't it?
No!
Roast potatoes, no? Roast potatoes are the best part of the roast dinner.
I agree with Joel on this one.
The crispy roast potatoes.
The meat. That's for me, the meat, man.
Surely.
But, hey. It's potato, all right?
All right. Well, for me, the best part of roast dinner is the crispiest of roast potatoes, and this award is the super crispy potato. That is the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club Player of the Year award. This award was voted for by the Supporters Club as the player they felt was the team's most valuable player this season. Guys, talk us through the nominees for this one. Because everyone nominated for this one again?
Yeah, everyone was nominated for this
So
one.
we won't do our little music for this one.
Sorry.
Oh, maybe we will. Talk us through, how do you want to run this one? We've got a top 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a top 3.
Great. All right. So finishing in 3rd place? Over to you, Sam.
So in 3rd place was Thomas Bell The third.
TB3.
TB3.
What percentage did TB3 get?
So he had 10% of the votes.
Strong. Right, who's in second place in the Player of the Year award?
On second place, we've got Jelani Watson-Gale,
Nice. Percentage?
27.
Whoa. Wow. Big
Great
old
stuff.
percentage for Jelani.
Which means the final award of our podcast, the winner of the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club's Player of the Year 2023 is
VJ King.
VJ King. Congratulations.
VJ King.
Congratulations, VJ King. You are the winner of the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club Player of the Year. To add to his many collection of other awards he's also won this season, VJ, of course, joined from NBA G League side Westchester Knicks and has been a pivotal player for the team, finishing as the leading scorer and helping the Flyers achieve their highest ever league finish of 3rd place. Great to see.
Yeah, we'll get rid of the music now.
Buzzkill. 18.2 points per game. One of only 3 players ever in Bristol Flyers history in a BBL era to average over 18 points a game. I don't think I've seen a player for Bristol Flyers that prolific in scoring. Like, yeah, we've had Gentry Thomas in the past, and you have a couple of 30-point games. VJ is one of those players who's really on the stat sheet. You're watching a game, and then you look at the stat sheet, like, oh wow, VJ's got 30 points.
Yeah. He gets sneak, and he'll get you'll think he's had a tiny quiet game, and he's got 18. You're
It's like quiet, isn't it? Right, so VJ King, congratulations. You are the winner of the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club Player of the Year. And this morning, down at SGS, we had a chance to record this acceptance speech from the King himself.
What's going on, guys? VJ King here. Just want to thank the Flyers Supporters Club for naming me their Player of the Year. Honored for that, and it's been an incredible season. Wish it could have ended differently, but still doesn't take away the incredible season we had, and I was happy to be a part of it. But thank you for naming me the Player of the Year.
Amazing. Shout out to VJ King. What a player. Super humble guy. Does it on and off the court. Couldn't say anything better about him. What a guy. Amazing. And that's it. That's it for our end of season Supporters Club Awards episode. We've got through all the awards distributed out. But it's great to have you both back on again, the podcast. Very well-deserved award winners across the board, I feel.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's been really nice to do this today, being at Leicester on Sunday and seeing how gutted, the players were, which was it's heartbreaking to see. And to be able to kind of go out on a bang with this and being able to kind of pay back to them and give our respect for how well they've all played this season. It's been really good.
Yeah, there's only been positive comments about all the players, especially after the Leicester game. Everybody was so proud of what the team did. They fought every step of the way. Even in games we'd lost, you could tell that they've put 100% commitment into it. And the fans have really appreciated that.
Yeah, well, it's been great having the pair of you back on the podcast again. How much has changed in a year since the last time we did this podcast? It's great to see. And hopefully we'll get you back on again this time next year. So mark it in your calendars.
We will do.
We'll have the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club Awards 2024.
Just before we're on our way to the finals, John.
Yep, just before we go to the O2 for the end of season. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. This is our last episode, Sam, in the studio. Because our next episode, season finale, we're doing it live up at the Village Hotel.
Very exciting. It's been a good season, John. Thanks for doing this with me, mate.
Yeah, it has been fun. I've really enjoyed it. I think we'll talk about it on the live show next week, but I think plans for the summer is obviously we'll take time off. The podcast will take a short break.
Glastonbury over here.
Admin will be going to Glastonbury. I don't know about you, but I don't know if I can wait a whole summer without not doing a podcast. So I'm going to probably want to get back in here at some point and maybe record something. Maybe once we've collected some signatures for next season, we'll maybe announce some news on the podcast. I don't know. We'll maybe have a little brainstorm with producer Dan over there and think of some cool ideas or how we can keep the podcast running. I really want to get Aaron Radin on the podcast as well. So if he's actually visiting at Bristol at some point in the summer, I don't know if he's listening to the podcast, but we'd love you to stick around and have a chat with us. And some exciting things happening across BBL as well this whole summer. since the Americans have come on board and taken over the league. So look out for some great news over the summer of exciting developments coming into next season as well.
And always the big match between me and Joel one-on-one, obviously.
Yep,
so.
saving that for episode number 50. That deserves an episode of itself.
With a mullet.
With a mullet wig.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should have a game of horse, Sam, rather than a full game of 1v1. What do you reckon?
Yeah, already making excuses instead. Yep, no worries.
Great stuff.
Anything else to add before we end the podcast?
That's my job. That's my job. Sam, do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap up this episode of the podcast?
I don't, but I wonder if these two do. Anything to add?
No, just thanks for another amazing season, and I really look forward to listening to the podcast every week, learning more about the players and the club and the staff. So thank you, both done an amazing job.
It's been an absolute... I've really enjoyed it, to be honest, like hosting the podcast this year. Doing it weekly, it's been a real big challenge. However, it's been so much fun, hasn't it? I've really enjoyed it.
And a privilege. And we are so happy that we get to be able to, share this with you, but share it with everyone and get to do it ourselves, Joe. It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah. I have one final thing to add before we wrap up this week's show. If you are enjoying the Bristol Flyers podcast, do leave us a rating and a review. If you're a podcast listener, if you're a YouTube watcher, leave a comment right down here somewhere. And we will read every comment, don't we, Sam?
We certainly do.
Even ones written by yourself. We read every comment. Do like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and recommend us to a friend. And hopefully we can build our little podcast community even more. And we're super excited to see you all in person on Monday night down at the Village Hotel. Still time for you to get your tickets. Head to the Bristol Flyers website. We've just released one final batch, so you haven't got your tickets yet. Go snap them up. Great stuff. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you again on Monday for our season finale and our live audience episode. Take care. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.